Corporate Governance Platform, a program from the Institute of Chartered Secretaries and Administrators of Nigeria, ICSAN, is now at your doorstep.
By the way, what is corporate governance and what are its key pillars?
Will there be any conflict of interest if a person combines the roles of a chairman and a chief executive officer in a corporate organization?
What can Nigeria do to gain international recognition in the context of the application of corporate governance?
These and many more questions will be answered on
Corporate Governance Platform, a program designed to inform and educate our numerous viewers on the adoption of corporate governance best practices by corporate entities.
Join the Corporate Governance Platform crew every Thursday at 4:30 p.m. on MITV, your talent station, via DSTV 255 and UHF 43.
Corporate Governance Platform, your strategy for the adoption of corporate governance best practices by corporate entities. Institute of Chartered Secretaries and Administrators of Nigeria, ICSAN, the hub of governance professionals.
Many thanks for joining us on Corporate Governance Platform, coming to you live from MITV. I am Tunde Odeyemi, your anchor. And in today's episode, we shall be looking at corporate governance and the Code of Corporate Governance in Nigeria, especially the Code of Corporate Governance 2018. Join us for this and many more after this timeout.
Corporate Governance Platform, a program from the Institute of Chartered Secretaries and Administrators of Nigeria, ICSAN, is now at your doorstep.
By the way, what is corporate governance and what are its key pillars?
Will there be any conflict of interest if a person combines the roles of a chairman and a chief executive officer in a corporate organization?
What can Nigeria do to gain international recognition in the context of the application of corporate governance?
These and many more questions will be answered on
Corporate Governance Platform, a program designed to inform and educate our numerous viewers on the adoption of corporate governance best practices by corporate entities.
Join the Corporate Governance Platform crew every Thursday at 4:30 p.m. on MITV, your talent station, via DSTV 255 and UHF 43.
Corporate Governance Platform, your strategy for the adoption of corporate governance best practices by corporate entities. Institute of Chartered Secretaries and Administrators of Nigeria, ICSAN, the hub of governance professionals.
You're welcome back, and thank you for joining us on your favorite program, Corporate Governance Platform, coming to you from MITV in Lagos. Today, we shall be taking a look at the role of the board as the provider of entrepreneurial strategic leadership. And joining me in the studio to discuss this important topic is the President and Chairman of Council of the Institute of Chartered Secretaries and Administrators in Nigeria, Mr. Bode Ayeku. Mr. Ayeku, you are welcome to the show.
Thank you. It is my pleasure to be here.
Thank you for finding time to join us on the program.
I'm always happy to discuss issues related to corporate governance in Nigeria.
Okay, let's start by asking, who are the company directors?
Well, it's very simple. If you look at the Nigerian Code of Corporate Governance 2018, it defines director as a person duly appointed to direct and manage the affairs of the company. That is the definition. However, you will recall if the precise word used, duly appointed. So the question is, how are they appointed? Directors are either appointed by the shareholders at the general meeting or appointed by federal directors to fill casual vacancy. So this, in the nutshell, is the definition of a director. However, let's look at it in the practical way so that our listeners can understand who are we talking about. You know, a company is an artificial entity.
Okay.
You cannot see a company. So a company can be likened to a newborn baby. The directors are like the parents, taking care of the newborn baby in such a way that the newborn baby will achieve the objective for which that baby came to this world to achieve. So the directors are the natural persons to take care of the artificial person in such a way that the objectives of that company will be achieved. And we have 3 categories of directors. They can be executive directors, that is, those who are employees of the company, or the non-executive directors, those who are not employees of the company, they are also directors. And then we have a new subset called the independent non-executive directors. So collectively, under the code, we have these 3 layers. They work together jointly to ensure that the company achieves its objective.
So in a nutshell, we are saying that effective board is necessary for a successful company.
That is inevitable.
Now, can you please explain effectiveness in relation to the board?
A board will be considered to be effective when that board is committed to achieving the objectives of that particular company. As I said the other time, you liken a company to a baby. A baby arrives in this world in order to achieve a prescribed objective. And it's only the parents that will work towards the achievement of those objectives. So the board is to ensure that they are committed to achieving the objectives of the company. So an effective board is the one that is always asking the question, how do we achieve the objectives of this company? And that board, in order to achieve the objectives of the company, it must be composed of the right mix of people. People with knowledge, people with skills, people with experience, people diverse interests, and also a broad spectrum of people, that is diversity. And the selection process of the director must be based on objective criteria in such a way that we have people that will be able to drive this process, and in such a way that the company will be in a position to achieve its objectives. And apart from that, a board will be considered to be effective when the individual directors are also committed towards achieving those objectives, because it's a collective responsibility. One director alone cannot do it. We call it a board because it's made up of several directors. So each director must be committed. The chairman of the board also must have the focus in order to coordinate all these people and to work towards the achievement of the same objective. And apart from that, as much as possible, all the meetings of the companies must be anchored or be handled in such a way that they achieve the objective. You don't have meeting because we must just get together and waste time or to collect sitting allowance. It's a meeting to achieve a prescribed objective, and they must make sure that they review their process from time to time, review the membership, also give assignment to the management. And when they are giving assignment to the management, they must also support the management, and they must give the management the free hand to operate. However, the board must not be interested in just looking for fault of the management. The board must be supportive. The board must play the role of a coach. A coach in a football team develops the team towards achieving the desired objective of winning the match, not to play the role of a referee who is always looking for a fault. So the board must not be looking for the fault of the management. The board must see the success of the management as their own success. So they must support the management in such a way that the management will be in a position to achieve the desired objective, and they must provide that kind of leadership. Set the tone from the top. Whatever you not want the management to do, also the board should not do it. And because if that tone is set from the top, the management also will insist that the staff must operate in line with the culture of that organization. So an effective board is one that is always rethinking the entire process, rethinking the entire structure in such a way that it will be in a position to deliver the objectives and to achieve the reason why the shareholders actually form that company.
Wow. That means, in a nutshell, the role of the board of directors in a company is very, very essential.
It's essential, is that of planning and that of oversight of the company. Planning towards achieving the desired objective, and also oversight to make sure that the company is always in line.
Then, what corporate governance role would you ascribe for directors as leaders of company now?
No, it's very simple. They must set the strategic objectives of the company. Strategic objective of the company must be set, and also they must have workable modalities towards achieving those objectives. Apart from that, they must provide the leadership. Providing leadership in such a way that they drive the management towards achieving the desired objective. In addition to that, they must also ensure that they delegate to management, as I said the other time. They support the management and also have oversight in terms of what the management is doing. And in addition to that, they must ensure compliance with the law, because every company operates based on the license given to it to operate by the government. So they must ensure that they keep within that particular narrow space where they are expected to operate and comply with those requirements, because the company can be terminated suddenly if there is an infraction. Is similar to death of a natural person. So the companies can also be brought to an end suddenly if they infringe. So they must ensure that there is compliance, and they must ensure that they report to the owners of the business, the shareholders. So the directors have all these responsibilities. Apart from that, the governance role is that the directors must ensure that they put governance structures in place in that particular entity. Governance structure in the sense that there is a board, there is an effective chairman, there are committees to support the board, there is a management, and also there is oversight responsibility. Apart from governance structure, they must ensure that they have policies in place. Because if there are no policies, people will do whatever they like. You will have code of conduct, conflict of interest rule, that is what they are expected to do. They must also have policy around related party transactions. They must have policy around whistleblowing. They must have policy around corruption. Because this has a way to drive the process. The directors will not be there on a daily basis. But they need to put these processes in place, put these policies in place. And when they are in place, it will be easier for the management to implement. It will be easier for the board to know when there are deviations. And it will be easier for them to know the appropriate sanctions to apply, because that is a way to put in place an arrangement whereby the company will operate smoothly to achieve its desired objective. You know, it's human beings that has a terminal date.
Sure.
Die by time. A company ordinarily, if it complies with the law, a company can be in existence ad infinitum. So, but the only way that can happen is when they comply with the provisions of the law, when they do what they are expected to do, so that they can be profitable in the short run and also in the long run.
In your opening, you actually made mention of the Corporate Governance Code of 2018. Can you shed more light on that Corporate Governance Code?
It's a very broad code, and for you to have an understanding of the OSS of that, corporate governance, you have to say, what is the meaning of corporate governance?
Sure.
Is the system by which a company is directed and controlled. It's different from the definition of a director. A director is a person duly appointed to control and manage. Directors, they manage. But corporate governance is interested in how a company is controlled, is directed and controlled. So the code talks about the structures that must be in place for an organization to be successful. We have the board of directors. The directors must be there. We have the committees, the audit committees, the nominations committee, the remuneration committee, the risk management committee. We have the role of the company secretary. They provided for the roles, the responsibilities, the reporting lines, whistleblowing, ethical conduct, culture of the company. They provide for the policies that must be in place, and they also provide for the reporting lines and how you interact with your owners, the stakeholders, particularly the shareholders. So it's to ensure that the entire scope of operation of the company, there is interconnectivity, and in such a way that they are all moving towards the same objective in order to achieve the same objective. So that is why all you have this structure. And apart from the management reporting to the board reporting to the shareholder, there is provision for external validation of those reports. That is why we have external auditors. They call it assurance. And to look at it and they say, okay, they are going this way. We observe that there are deviations here, and then they will read their reports to the shareholders at the annual general meeting, so that appropriate steps will be taken to address or to redirect the company on the path of profitability and sustainability.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ayeku. We'll quickly go on a short break. When we come back, we'll continue with discussion on corporate governance and the board of directors. Please join us again.
Corporate Governance Platform, a program from the Institute of Chartered Secretaries and Administrators of Nigeria, ICSAN, is now at your doorstep.
By the way, what is corporate governance and what are its key pillars?
Will there be any conflict of interest if a person combines the roles of a chairman and a chief executive officer in a corporate organization?
What can Nigeria do to gain international recognition in the context of the application of corporate governance?
These and many more questions will be answered on
Corporate Governance Platform, a program designed to inform and educate our numerous viewers on the adoption of corporate governance best practices by corporate entities.
Join the Corporate Governance Platform crew every Thursday at 4:30 p.m. on MITV, your talent station, via DSTV 255 and UHF 43.
Corporate Governance Platform, your strategy for the adoption of corporate governance best practices by corporate entities.
Institute of Chartered Secretaries and Administrators of Nigeria, ICSAN, the hub of governance professionals. Corporate Governance Platform, a program from the Institute of Chartered Secretaries and Administrators of Nigeria, ICSAN, is now at your doorstep.
By the way, what is corporate governance and what are its key pillars?
Will there be any conflict of interest if a person combines the roles of a chairman and a chief executive officer in a corporate organization?
work in Nigeria due to gain international recognition in the context of the application of corporate governance.
These and many more questions will be answered on
Corporate.
You're welcome back. It's still Corporate Governance Platform, and I still have with me in the studio the President and Chairman of Council of the Institute of Chartered Secretaries and Administrators of Nigeria, Mr. Bode Ayeku. Now, Mr. Ayeku, let's continue. You know, the Code of Corporate Governance saddles the Board of Directors with the responsibilities of considering and approving long-term strategies and the short-term strategies. What are these long-term and short-term strategies?
As I said, a company is incorporated for the achievement of prescribed objectives. The short-term objectives are those things that can be achieved within a short period of time, maybe a few months or few years, that will enable them to continue to be in business. For example, a company that is into production of goods, basically the short-term objectives are how do we produce, how do we get raw materials to produce, what is our route to market, how do we get the logistics in such a way that to support our business, how do we get market share, what kind of incentives should we offer our customers in order to attract them. Those are short-term objectives so that you can make quick money so that you can continue to be in business. But the long-term objectives or strategies of the company will be focusing on how do we reinvent a future for the company. How do we direct the company in a pre-defined direction in such a way that they can achieve the desired objective? Or how do we create a new future for the company? And then this will also include considering how can this business be disrupted? Or how can this business disrupt the system? That is, it's like a football match. You consider how can a team be attacked in such a way that they will concede goal, and the team will also consider how can they launch a counter attack. So a company should be considering how can we be disrupted, and how can we be a disruptor in the system. So in such a way that the company will now create a new future for themselves, and in a way that they will be in place for a long period of time. And then strategic objectives also include how do you identify opportunities, hidden opportunities, and how do you mobilize resources in order to support the achievement of those opportunities. So these are long-term strategies. The long strategies, they are for a period of some 3 years or longer period. For example, a company can start today just as a small company, maybe for example, if you look at the banking sector, when they started, you have to go to the bank to queue. Nobody goes to the bank to queue again. So you see what fintech has done. So fintech has created and redefined the future of the banking industry. So a company, as part of their long-term strategies, how do we survive this? If you still have a cashier waiting for people to queue, it's a waste of time. It's something that the board will now need to consider to say, okay, how do we operate in the next 5 years? In the next 10 years, where should we be moving into? There are certain things that will be operated in the next 5 years. So they should be projecting to say, in the next 5 years, will this thing still be relevant? You know what happened to Nokia?
Yeah.
So it was because there was no long-term strategies to redirect or create a future for the company that led to the problem. So, but the good thing is that both the short-term and the long-term strategies must be achieved, because a company must be profitable in the short term in order to have enough resources to invest into the long term so that they can be in operation for a very long period of time.
Fantastic. The code also requires the board of directors to establish and maintain values and standards, of course, ethical standards. Why do you think this provision is important?
It's very simple. The leadership is everything. Any organization, any company, any country will prosper based on the level of leadership. If you have a strong leadership structure in place in any company, the company will prosper. And when we talk about ethical conduct, you need to say the board need to set the tone from the top, because it's all about what you have. And if you don't set the tone at the top, then there is no way the company will be able to achieve desired objective. The management will be looking up to the directors to show leadership. The employees will be looking up to the management to show leadership. So that is why you have the ethical culture. It's not bottom up, it is top down. So, and that is why the board must put those processes in place, and so that they must live those values. Not that they will just be telling people or the management, this is what we should do. They don't preach to people. The best sermon you can preach is the one you practice, because people can always maybe link up with what they see instead of what they hear. So not theoretical something, but what you practice, and that is why it is very key.
Fantastic. The board is as essential to the company as oxygen to a human being, the way you have just painted it here. Does it then mean that when we have a board of directors performing effectively, there is the sustainability of the company is guaranteed?
It's obvious, because when the board is effective, the board is at alert, monitoring, scanning the environment as to what are the opportunities, what are the threats, what should we do to overcome those threats, how do we tap into those opportunities. So they are constantly researching, is on a standby mode, and that is why the only way you can understand the role of a director vis-a-vis the company is when you look at the responsibility of parents towards a newborn baby. That is the easiest way. You know, the parents are always eager. Mosquito must not bite my child. My child must not fall. That is the role of a director. They must ensure that that particular artificial entity, which is the baby, must be taken care of in such a way that they nurture the company to grow, to achieve its objective, and to be in existence for profitable reasons, and also for the benefits of humanity.
Now, considering the important role of the board now, the corporate governance code also requires in the appointment of members of the board of directors that we should consider the strengths, the weakness, integrity, skills, the competence, knowledge, and experience of whoever that is coming on board. Why do you think these are necessary?
It is very necessary because, as I said earlier, leadership is everything, and you cannot give what you don't have. If you have a board that is made up of people who are not knowledgeable, who do not have the experience, who do not have the skill, there is no way they will be in a position to oversee whatever the management is doing or add value to the system. It's very simple. The root of a purple tree cannot carry the stem of an iroko. You can only have a soft structure when your foundation is solid. So, and the foundation is the board, and the board must be made up of the right combination of people, knowledgeable people who are committed, people who have the experience, who have the time, the diversity, the skills, and people who have that kind of they have the pedigree, they have a name to protect. And when you have those people, it's easier for the company to progress, and that is why the code has provided that at any point in time the board must be refreshed in such a way that we have people who will continue to add value to the system, because it's only by adding value to the system that the company can be in existence for a very long period of time.
Our time is fast spent, but I'll take this one for your final question. What are your final words for business owners and corporate leaders before we wrap it up?
The final word will be that they must ensure that they have the right board, are not looking for friends, people who cannot give them an objective assessment or areas of improvement that will add value to the company. Any entity, whether SME or big company, private or public, that is interested in the sustainability of that particular entity must look for the best set of human beings to manage the entity. Look for those who will critically examine the system and give you advice as to how to improve the system. Look for knowledgeable people, look for people with skills, look for people with experience. A company is not something you experiment with. You must be in a position to get people who will add value. They might not be your closest friend. That is not the issue. The issue is that they must be able to add value, and when they are able to add, they will give you some maybe views that you may not like, but think over those views and implement them, because the only way you can have the business to survive you or to be in operation for a very long period of time is by ensuring that you have people who will be able to guide the business towards achieving the desired objective. Your friends will not tell you the bitter truth. But those who have their names to protect, they will tell you what you need to hear, not what you want to hear. And that is why I encourage all businesses. And that is the reason why the Institute of Chartered Secretaries and Administrators of Nigeria has since 2018 has taken it upon itself to have corporate governance platform. We started on radio since 2018 May on Eco FM every Wednesday between 10:15 to 10:30. We have now started on TV to ensure that nobody will say it's not aware. It's not enough for government to put in place regulation. We must educate people, and that is what we are doing. We are encouraging everybody, whether it's a one-man business or not, get the required professionals to assist you. Get a charter secretary to be your company secretary to give you advice. And that is why we are having our conference next week Thursday on the 19th at Muzon Center, and the conference is focusing on entrenching the right governance framework for economic sustainability. And we have 3 sub-themes in that. The first one is the new normal, emerging trends in corporate governance. We also have digitalization and cyber securities, and we have the DG of NIGDA, National Information Technology Development Agency, talking to us on that. And we have the Commission on Land Matters Act 2020, opportunities for charter secretary. So we want the public to join the institute and the program so that they can be well informed about the importance of corporate governance. And it's on the Thursday 19th November at Muzon Center. And then on Friday we'll be having our luncheon, and we'll be having honorary fellowship for two distinguished Nigerians, Dr. Christopher Akolade and Mr. Oscar Onyema, the Chief Executive Officer of the Nigerian Stock Exchange. So we continue to do this advocacy. We do our best. We enlighten the masses about the importance of corporate governance. It is in their interest to practice good corporate governance.
Thank you very much, Mr. Bode Ayeku. And that was Corporate Governance Platform, and this is where we wrap it up today. I want to invite you to join us again next week, same station, same time. I am Tunde Odeyemi. Thank you for joining us. Bye for now.
Governance Platform.
Corporate Governance Platform, a program from the Institute of Chartered Secretaries and Administrators of Nigeria, ICSAN, is now at your doorstep.
By the way, what is corporate governance and what are its key pillars?
Will there be any conflict of interest if a person combines the roles of a chairman and a chief executive officer in a corporate organization?
What can Nigeria do to gain international recognition in the context of the application of corporate governance?
These and many more questions will be answered on
Corporate Governance Platform, a program designed to inform and educate our numerous viewers on the adoption of corporate governance best practices by corporate entities.
Join the Corporate Governance Platform crew every Thursday at 4:30 p.m. on MITV, your talent station, via DSTV 255 and UHF 43.
Corporate Governance Platform, your strategy for the adoption of corporate governance best practices by corporate entities. Institute of Chartered
Nigeria, ICSAN, is now at your doorstep.
By the way, what is corporate governance and what are its key pillars?
Will there be any conflict of interest if a person combines the roles of a chairman and a chief executive?